Okay, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to look at building out more of the blog functionality. We're going to add a page that loads a Markdown file, which will hold the article text and information. Using Markdown is, in my opinion, a great way to maintain a blog. So much of the bloat of a piece of blogging software is in editing the data. This method cuts out all the wasted time spent trying to hack someone else's idea of a dashboard, leaving us more time spent writing and building out the features we need. We're going to start where we left off in the last episode, but if you need to catch up, check out Markdown. Alright, so first, let's get Markdown loading and hot reloading in our Webpack bundle. As you might guess, there's a loader for that. Let's also create a new Markdown file. So in our terminal, let's npm install Markdown loader. Let's also create a data file, post.md for Markdown. Now if we open up that file, let's write a little something to get it going. So a headline in Markdown is indicated by this hash symbol. One hash means h1, where two hashes means h2, and so forth. Text on a normal line indicates a paragraph tag. Of course, we must declare the loader within our Webpack dev and prod. So let's do that now. At the end here, let's write a test and a test for those MD files. And then we're going to use two loaders. HTML loader and the Markdown loader. Now let's take that loader definition and place it into our webpack.dev. Alright, now inside our app root, let's import Markdown data from data post md. Now let's change our this props content to Markdown data. Now let's start it up and see where we are. When we reload, we see that HTML has been rendered out, but it's being escaped before it's placed into the React component. That's not what we want. Turns out React doesn't take too kindly to HTML, and instead of putting the data within the component, it's actually better to use an attribute. So the way this will look is we'll have a new attribute, dangerously set inner HTML. That's going to take an object. The object will have an HTML property, and finally, that HTML property will be set to our HTML. When we save, we can see that it updates. Now there's a little styling problem here, and we'll fix that. Let's go to main CSS. We can see that we want a different styling for our H1 inside the profile than we do for our normal H1. In this case, let's add profile greater than to both this image and H1. When we save, we see that we go back to normal. Only the image in H1 directly under profile will carry this styling, and now this has no styling at all. So now we have Markdown coming in as HTML directly into our component. If we save, we see that the Markdown is updated on the fly using the hot module reloading system. This way, we can update our blog and see the results immediately. Okay, so we've got the content, but what about the metadata? Each article we write will need variables, like a title, an author, a date published, etc. These variables can be included in the top of the Markdown file and parsed in a loader. So let's add some variables to the top. The format is using 3 dashes. And then we can insert any kind of data using a YAML style. the variable name, semicolon, followed by the value. So in this case, we have two variables, a title and an author. Now to use those variables in our app root, we're going to need to change the way the loader works. We also need to add a new npm package. So let's open up our Webpack dev, our Webpack prod, and let's change this area to get rid of the HTML loader. And instead of the Markdown loader, we're going to use Markdown with front matter loader. Do the same for our other file. Remove HTML, replace the loader. Okay, so last step, let's npm uninstall the Markdown loader. Now let's npm install Markdown with front matter loader. Okay, so when we restart, we can see that our Webpack recompiles, and in the place of the content is now an object. Back in our app root, let's change Markdown data to Markdown data underscore underscore content, which is where the Markdown with front matter loader puts the content. When that's saved, you can see that it's the same as before. But now, you can use Markdown data title, and you can get the title. If you wanted to make the author appear, you do Markdown data author. Now those are coming from this front matter right here. You can use dates, any other variable you want to set up, and it'll be parsed separately from the content. Alright, so let's take this out. We'll use author later. Now we've got the best of all worlds. Metadata and content hot reloading in the browser as we write. In this episode, we added Markdown to the mix in our new blogging architecture. Markdown allows for a full range of formatting, like lists and headings. It's commonly used in GitHub to update pull requests. And in my opinion, it's a must-know language for developers. Now that we have our data properly separated from our components, we're going to look into how we can make our bundles a lot smaller. If you notice, our main bundle.js has gotten a lot bigger over the last few episodes. It's now 1.05 megabytes in development, which is quite large. It's quite a bit smaller in production. But now that we've added React, we may want to separate React out from our application code, since our application code changes more often than React will. If you want to look at the final version of the code we set up in this episode, get checkout Markdown final. In the next episode, we'll look at analyzing our Webpack bundles and separating vendor code from application code using the Common Chunks plugin. See you there.